What's going on YouTube? DJ Access here. Welcome back to the channel. I have been on the hunt for the perfect uplight, and I know that YouTube rule says I'm not supposed to tell you which one it is till the end of the video, but if you promise to like the video and subscribe to the channel, I'm going to tell you what it is right now. It's the Rockville Best 50, Best Uplight, and you're probably like, oh, he hasn't used better uplights. I've used the Freedom Par Quad 4s. I've used the Ape Lab Maxis. Let me tell you, the Rockville Best 50 not only is the best bang for your buck, but it's also the best uplight. If money weren't an object, I would still get the Rockville Best 50. So I'm going to tell you about the different uplights that I've had and my comparisons. So I'm going to start with my least favorite of the three uplights that I had purchased. And I've used these for a pretty long time, over 3 months. These were the Freedom Par Quad 4s. And the reason I got rid of them almost immediately was because they had a terrible white. So white is probably a top 3 color that I use. Amber's number 1, white's probably number 2, and then blue is number 3 as far as what I do for uplighting. This is typically for weddings that I have in Columbus, Ohio. So I assumed incorrectly that even though it didn't have a white diode, by mixing red, green, blue, and amber, I'd get a pretty solid white, especially for the price I paid, $2,700 for 8 lights plus a charging case. You'll hear that number a lot. $2,700 for 8 lights plus a charging case. That's $337 per light if you include the charging case as part of the cost, right? So I thought I was going to get a great white, and I didn't. So at one of these gigs, the venue had Rockville wedges in place, and I sat my Freedom Pars, which I think are 3 times the cost, right next to them, and the white of the Rockville blew the Chauvet Freedom Par out of the water, and that is what made me look at the Rockville Best 50. So Freedom Par Quad 4 had a terrible white, did have a really nice amber. As far as the charging case, another very important thing to me when I'm purchasing an uplight. It had a good charging case, not as good as the Ape Labs case. I'll talk about that in a minute, but it did have a good case. The cords weren't going everywhere. It was pretty easy. You slide the light in, you plug it in, and you were set, ready to go. It was the most heavy and the most awkward of the 3 cases that I purchased. Again, the Freedom Pars, the Ape Lab Maxis, and the Rockville Best 50s. As far as wireless response, it was okay. There was some noticeable lag, and I'm talking about noticeable for me, not noticeable on the customer-facing side. They probably didn't know the difference. And they were sometimes out of sync. So if I had a program where everything was supposed to go from blue to red at the same time, maybe 7 of the lights would go blue at the same time, but that last one would lag just a little bit behind. So wireless response wasn't great. I was using the Chauvet battery-powered transmitter, and I think that might have been part of the issue, but ultimately that's the one that they offer, and it wasn't getting the job done. So wireless response, it was okay. I'm not a brightness guy, so later in the video, I'm just going to show you all 3 lights up against the wall, and you can make the judge as far as, is it bright enough? Is the spread wide enough? This really doesn't matter to me. As long as they look good in a dark room, they look good. I'm not the brightness guy, so I'll just show you those videos maybe now, maybe later in the video, and you can make the judge for yourself. If I had to guess, this is probably the brightest, and I think that showed this is the brightest light. It should be. It was the most expensive. So its X factor is the build quality. The Freedom Pars are known. They're tanks. If you kick them, your foot's probably going to hurt before you kick the light. And the build quality is great. It seems like they're going to last forever. And I think that's why the big production companies really like this light. But for DJs, I did not like it. And I already talked about the value, $2,700 for 8 lights plus a charging case. That's $337 per light. And again, I'm including the charging case as part of the light price because I think most DJs are getting them in a case. Okay. In second place, I have the Ape Lab Maxis. These are the 1.0s. I've not had a chance to try the 2.0s. The colors, it had a very good white, really great white, and it had an okay amber. So again, great white, okay amber. You could still see a little bit of green in both of the kind of amber colors that they had. It had kind of like 2 shades of amber, and you could see a little bit of green in both of them. So I'm going to say great white, okay amber. The charging case, amazing. That's one of the X factors for this. That's why you buy these things. That's why you shell out the extra money. The charging case is awesome. You slide it in, it charges, you're good to go. It's small, lightweight. You can carry 12 uplights in one trip without really breaking your back. The charging case is amazing. That's why if you're looking for the best charging case, get the Ape Labs. Wireless response this was the worst of them all. This is why I ended up looking at the Freedom Pars, because in order to get them to work with DMX, you have to buy the Ape Labs W app. It's a small box. It is battery powered, but I usually ran it with the charging cable on it. And you're sending the DMX signal to that box, and then that box is sending it out to all the lights. So there was again, probably not noticeable by the client, but an even more noticeable delay than the Chauvets. And there was a lot of desync issues. So where maybe the Chauvet, everything would go, with the Chauvet lights, everything would go, maybe 7 of the 8 lights would go, and then the last one would kind of click on. This one, you could get maybe 5 or 7 going, and it was just not as reliable wireless connectivity. Brightness, again, I'm going to show the video of, you can compare it to the Rockville Best 50 and the Freedom Par. As far as brightness, I think when I was doing the test that these were the least bright of the fixtures, but plenty bright for my applications. Even in a bright room, you could still notice that these uplights were on. The X factor for the Ape Lab Maxis is music mode. If you're not using these with DMX or sound switch or whatever it is, the music mode on these things is awesome. I don't know what they did over at Ape Labs to make them kind of talk to each other within the music, but they call this music mode, and it's really, really good if you're not trying to mess with DMX. I had 2 cases of 6. I ended up keeping 1 case of 6 just because that music mode is so good. And if I have a gig where I'm not running DMX, I can just bring 6 of these out, and it makes for a decent light show. Value. So I got these for $2,800 for 6 plus a charging case. I don't think that's what I got them for. I think that's what they're going for now. So $2,800 for 6 plus the charging case. That comes out to $466 per light. That's crazy. All right. So for $466 per light, you're getting an okay amber, you're getting a great white, and really all of the price is in that music mode and the charging case. If a charging case doesn't matter to you, if music mode doesn't matter to you, then don't even look at these. Okay, and now, number 1, my saviors, the Rockville Best 50s. I didn't have high hopes because I'd spent, $2,800 and $2,700 for lights, and these came in at $1,100 for 8 plus a charging case, $137 per light. I did not have high hopes. As far as colors, again, they have a great white and a great amber, dedicated diodes for both. That's why I got rid of my Freedom Pars, because I saw the Rockville wedges, which is different, but I saw the Rockville wedges next to my Freedom Pars, and the white on the Rockvilles was way better. The charging case this is the worst charging case of the bunch, but it's just because of the wiring. If I had to spend about a half an hour with Velcro and zip ties to make it kind of passable, to make it where okay, everything plugs in, it's nice and neat. I could definitely use some colored electrical tape if I wanted to get it really, really nice. But this is the least nice of the charging cases. You have to sacrifice somewhere. But it is an easier lift than the Chauvet Freedom Par case. The Chauvet case is boxy, and this is more of a rectangle, so it's easier to get your arms kind of around it and lift up. Although the handles aren't perfect. The handles kind of give a little bit. I know I'm not explaining that exactly the right way, but the handles kind of give a little bit, so you're kind of wondering how long those are going to last, but it is an easier lift. So again, if charging case is the most important thing to you, these probably are not the lights for you. Wireless response, perfect. The Rockville transmitter, I originally didn't like because I was coming from a battery-powered Chauvet transmitter. I'm like, okay, man, that's one more thing I have to plug in. But it's worth it because the lights are spot on. I haven't seen any desyncs. I haven't seen any lag. If the beat is on with sound switch, these things are perfect. All 8 fixtures. I have 8 more on the way, so I'll be able to show you with 16 fixtures. I have full confidence that I don't know what they did with the wireless the wireless response for these lights, but it is spot on, and I could not have been happier. It was the biggest shock to me because I thought this is where we were going to lack. So wireless response with sound switch, perfect. Brightness, it's right in the middle between the Ape Labs and the Freedom Pars, as I'll show you again. Again, that matters almost the least to me. They looked fine in a very, very bright room. The X factor, the ease of use. I actually thought that I was doing something wrong because the red light on the transmitter kept flashing, and usually red lights flashing on things is not good. But really, it just meant that it had already connected to all the lights. I didn't have to do anything. I literally took them out of the box, turned the transmitter on, and they were working. I don't know how that happened, but they were. So ease of use, these were awesome. And Rockville talks about that in their YouTube videos when I was kind of researching this. But it even when they kind of drill it home in their YouTube videos, it still was easier than I expected. And again, value, I mentioned this before, $1,100 for 8 lights plus a charging case, $137 per light, whereas the Ape Labs were $466 per light, and the Freedom Par Quad 4s were $337 per light. So huge value. Even if all of these, all 8 of these things go bad on me, I could buy a whole nother case and still not spend as much as the Ape Labs and the Chauvets. And the build quality is good. I'd say the build quality is the best on the Freedom Pars and the Ape Labs, but it didn't seem like they sacrificed build quality on it. There's some things like the handle when you're putting them down, sometimes prevents you from putting them down in the case. And there is a cap on the power, the thing that you plug your power into that I don't think that we needed. And the kickstand isn't the best. But again, for what I say, $137 per light, I will take that all day. Those are minor inconveniences compared to what I'm getting. And if you are between all 3 of these lights, if you're worried about getting the Rockvilles, try them. They are awesome. I will not be looking back. Like I said, I got 8 to test them out. I ordered 8 within 2 hours of, me being into dancing and seeing how well these things listened, how solid the case is, and that's it. So if you're in the market for uplights, I really like the Rockville Best 50s. Hopefully this video was helpful to you. If you made it all the way to the end, please again like and subscribe, because I'm going to have more reviews, more DJ tips right here on the channel. Peace. I'm out.